Nuts. All right, we're going to go to the phones. We have apparently an anonymous caller. So, aloha, whoever you are, wherever you are, and what is on your mind? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I am. Hi. I wanted to call in and address a global warming issue, if I may.
Okay.
I wanted to let you know that I have a 20-year-old college student who is currently a junior attending a private, quite expensive school. I will say that I'm in the Ohio area.
Mm-hmm.
She's a biomedical engineering major,
Mm-hmm.
and this past semester she was required to take a course in which her professor was lecturing on global warming.
Yes.
They were asked to write research papers that explained their point of view after their research on what they felt about global warming. And of course, my daughter did her research and stated that she thought it was a fraud.
Mm-hmm.
When she got the paper back, the professor stated to her that she might want to change her mind. He said that he would be sending the papers to Al Gore personally, and she refused to change her mind and kept her paper and her research as it was, and she received an F grade.
Well, I think she needs to get a lawyer and sue this guy because this exceeds the authority of a teacher. The teacher is there to teach, and especially in a university, you are there to allow the students to develop their skills of evaluation and problem solving, not to simply dictate.
What really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're on the phone with an anonymous mother, and I understand why you're being anonymous. You're afraid of reprisals, which may not be as much of a concern, but let's just go with it for a while here. And for those of you just tuning in, the story here is that this woman has a daughter in college who was assigned to write a paper on the subject of global warming. The whole class was. And the daughter went out, did her research, discovered, as pretty much everybody else objective about the issue, that it's a fraud. It really is, and turned in a paper with that conclusion. Her instructor told her to change her conclusion, thereby displaying the fundamental authoritarian dictatorial approach, which is the whole reason for the ClimateGate mess to begin with. And when this student refused, she got an F on her paper. Now, my first response, and I've been a teacher and I've been an instructor at the college level, and my first response is that professor should be fired. Should not be in a college teaching our kids, because we want our kids to grow up to be thinkers and evaluators and not just simply do as they're told, which is what this guy just did. I don't care if he's personal friends with Al Gore. Al Gore is a crook. Even before ClimateGate, we knew he was a crook. I've got photos of Al Gore with a campaign donor who's a cocaine smuggler. This guy was taking money from everybody that was a crook. He'll just take money from whatever. And he's a criminal. And anybody who hangs out with him is a criminal. So what I really think you ought to consider doing is have your daughter contact an attorney and bring suit against this college professor and against the university. At the very least, they'll give her the A as a part of a proposed out-of-court settlement. But I think this professor needs to be taken out of academia. I think any college professor who's out there telling the students what they're supposed to conclude is an insult to the whole idea of higher education. And I think one of the reasons why we are unable to compete as a nation with the rest of the world is our entire educational system has been given over to political indoctrination. And kids aren't being taught actual skills and critical thinking necessary to compete in a modern technological world. I think that professor needs to be sacked. I don't care if he's got tenure or not, or she's got tenure or not. That put him in an administrative position, get him out of the classroom. He's got no business interfacing with our college kids. Absolutely. Are you still there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I wanted to comment saying that my daughter applied to this particular university, and she was awarded a full academic scholarship by the university because of her critical thinking skills that she had already required or acquired. And as a parent, I'm very unhappy because she has been brainwashed into...
Oh, apparently not. Apparently it didn't work, and that's a good thing.
Well, it didn't work, and unfortunately, this particular professor, of course, I should add that this university is currently being funded by the government with probably tax dollars.
Of course.
To research wind turbines. And the professor stated at the very beginning of the class, he had a raise of hands and asked everybody who believes global warming is real and who believes global warming is not real. And of the class of perhaps 60 students, my daughter was one of 3 that raised her hand saying that she did not believe it was real.
Mm-hmm.
She took painstaking approaches to make sure that she cited as sources official government websites with their language
Mm-hmm.
to prove her argument. And yet, in the end, she was told point blank, you need to change this argument because it's wrong.
Well, given the fact that now the IPCC's credibility is crumbling because their whole 2007 report now turns out it's little more than quotes grabbed from the World Wildlife Foundation, which is not peer-reviewed science. It's an advocacy group. And the government and everybody, they're trying to pretend this is not an issue. But the whole facade is collapsing. Your daughter needs to contact a lawyer. In fact, I would almost say you need to contact Judicial Watch, and go to them and say, look, this is the situation. We have the perfect test case here about whether or not university professors are allowed to indoctrinate our kids on the basis of whoever is sending them the grant money this year, because that's not what higher education is supposed to be about. If I were a lawyer, I would take the case pro bono. I feel that strongly about it. That professor has to be gone, and we've got to humiliate all of these global warming cultists who are still out there, because they're never going to admit that they were wrong. They will go to their graves believing in epicycles and an Earth-centered universe. They'll take Galileo and they'll torture him into recanting rather than admit that they were wrong. I mean, that's how academics tend to be. I know the universe. You can't. Go ahead.
I thought it was important to bring it up to
You are right.
make other parents aware when they send their kids off to university that their education is not necessarily, even though it may be expensive, not top-notch, and the things that they are doing now to our young adults it's a crime, in my opinion.
It's not education. It's indoctrination, and there is a fundamental difference. Kids are not...
Whatever they do with these papers as a result, because these are junior-level students, I'm sure that a lot of the